Oh my God. Someone in my house is on the bed all day long. And the whole house smells like a bitter smell. She can't even take care of herself, let alone do the housework, and it's a real eyesore. She sleeps all the time. I wonder how long she's going to stay. Every time they look at my face, my mother-in-law Kelly or sister-in-law Daisy complains. Sure, it's the same with or without a wife who doesn't do anything. What's the point of having a wife if she doesn't do anything? And Bill, my father-in-law, joins them in saying, I am Tina Martin, 32 years old. I have been married for 5 years. My father died of illness when I was in high school and my mother died shortly after I got married. I have loved drawing since I was a child and dreamed of becoming a picture book artist. After graduating from high school, I went to design school and got a job at a small design firm as an illustrator. My husband, Chris, worked at an advertising company and came to our office to ask me to illustrate a character for an advertisement, which is how we met. That is how we got married after 2 years of dating. Although my sister-in-law was also at my parents-in-law's house, we ended up living together at my parents-in-law's house after we got married. When we got married, they allowed me to freelance and work from home. I tried my best to be a good wife and do the housework. It was easy to do because Kelly didn't seem to like housework very much and told me that I could do whatever I wanted. Daisy was also indifferent to housework and went out with colleagues and friends every day for drinks and dinners, so we rarely had meals together, but we had no problems. However, 3 years ago I fell down the stairs at the train station and was seriously injured. My life changed drastically. I suffered a spinal injury that left me with a severe disability, paralysis of the lower half of my body. It was quite a shock at first, but 3 years have passed and I am gradually getting used to this kind of life. My in-laws, who had cared so much for me when I was injured, did not expect that I would be unable to stand on my own legs for the rest of my life, and as the 3 years passed, many things changed. In the meantime, Daisy got married 2 years ago. She left home. I'm so glad I don't have to see that look of Tina's anymore. What a thing to say. I could tell that my in-laws were feeling a bit neglectful of me, as I was now almost bedridden. I could not refute my in-laws' sarcasm, as I was sure that having a bedridden person in the house would be troublesome for them in many ways. My in-laws have an old house, so there is no space in the house for a wheelchair to pass through, and I have no choice but to stay in bed, as I am unable to move without a wheelchair. However, I had been working from home before the accident, so I am able to continue working as I am now. I consider it a blessing in disguise that my upper body is not paralyzed and I am able to work. I am now taken care of by a helper and a housekeeper who comes and takes care of my personal needs. If I lived alone, the helper would be able to help me with daily living such as cleaning and laundry, but this is not possible if I have a family member living with me. The helpers can only provide physical assistance. Chris has to work and cannot take care of me, but my in-laws are doing very well. Kelly is not disabled and has no illness. Bill turned 65 last year and has been home since he retired. When you have a family member living with you who is pinching himself and not working, helpers are not allowed to do daily living assistance such as cleaning, laundry, and shopping. For the first 2 years or so, my in-laws did a little bit along the way, but gradually they stopped doing it. I can understand that Kelly, who has always disliked housework, must have found it a hassle to do my share of the chores. Chris also spoke kindly to me in the beginning, but now he rarely even speaks to me and does nothing for me. I have a job to do, and caring for someone is not a man's job. That's all he says. Just because the in-laws don't do anything for him doesn't mean that the helpers can't assist him in his daily life due to regulations. But the helper saw my in-laws and was concerned about them, so she introduced me to a housekeeper. A housekeeper is a waste of money. What kind of luxury are you talking about? But I have my own personal needs, and if you don't do my laundry, I won't have any clothes to change into. Are you trying to bully me as a daughter-in-law? No, I'm not, but I'm in such a situation that I have no choice but to ask you to do it for me. When I said this, my in-laws looked at me as if I was a nuisance. You really are a pestilence, aren't you? We don't have that kind of money. I'll take care of that. I was so glad I had kept my job. So I managed to get a housekeeper to come to my house. The housekeeper was a 52-year-old woman named Sammy. She had lost her husband a long time ago and had no children. I felt she was somewhat like my mother who had passed away. I was really glad that she was a very kind and gentle person who took care of me very kindly. The only people I can talk to now are not my family. The only people I can talk to now are Sammy and my helpers. When Sammy arrived, my in-laws immediately tried to take care of their own business. Hey you! You're supposed to do our laundry and cleaning too. No, thank you. Kelly, what? You're the housekeeper, aren't you? What are you doing here? Housekeeper, if I do your part, I'll have to charge you extra. Are you willing to pay for it? If so, I'll do it. What the hell is wrong with you, you sassy housekeeper? They had an argument, but I felt a little better when she said no. One day, after about a year of living like that, Daisy came home divorced. She said it was because her husband cheated on her. He must have been seduced by a woman because he was an idiot. He was a messy, noisy man. But my brother-in-law worked for a major company and seemed like a very serious businessman. He didn't seem like the type of man who would cheat on his wife. I thought it was a bit strange, but I didn't want to make waves by saying something unnecessary, so I didn't say anything. I'm super lucky to have a housekeeper. Of course you're going to take care of me, right? Daisy said the same thing as her in-laws, but Sammy said no once and for all. Sammy did not think well of her in-laws, who did not say a single kind word to me even when we were together. I won't do it. What? Then what are you doing here? To take care of Tina around. What the hell is that? She's a useless housekeeper with Tina. It must be because Tina is so stingy with her money. But she's only making as much as she can on the side. She's a useless woman who can't even take care of herself. So she has to ask the housekeeper for help. Daisy and Kelly can take care of themselves, so they don't need a housekeeper, do they? When I countered that, they shut up, but Daisy's return doubled my in-laws' sarcasm. A bedridden person is nothing but a distraction. Now that Daisy is back, your presence will only make our house smaller. Daisy is enough in our house. You're still good, writing silly doodles on your bed, living your life, and working. Even when I was working, Daisy would go out of her way to come to my room to be sarcastic. I was fed up with the constant sarcasm, so I asked Chris for advice. Hey, tell Kelly and Daisy to be a little more careful with their words. I get hurt too. But it's the truth. What's the truth? You can't even do your chores, you're just lying on the bed all day. I'm not sleeping, you're working. That's on the bed too, isn't it? It's an easy job. You don't get tired from commuting to work like I do. That's true. I'm trying my best to be useful to everyone. My mom and dad get frustrated because you can't do anything for them even though you're my wife. It's no wonder they think you are a useless wife. Do you really think so? Well, don't be nervous and just deal with it. You can't survive if you worry about every little thing. He just said that, but he didn't seem to be very accommodating. It's not that I don't feel inconvenienced by this situation, but it's just so frustrating to know that he doesn't care about my feelings at all. If I were able-bodied, if I could walk normally, if I could move normally, not a day goes by that I don't think of those things. I wish he could have at least understood how painful and sad that would be. Is it selfish and extravagant of me to think so? When I think about it, I cry even though I try not to cry. I am in an accident and my body is like this, but I still try to look forward and do my best. I will not be defeated by this. There are many people in the world who are suffering even worse. I have been trying to push myself to do my best. I feel sad that I don't have parents I can rely on at a time like this, but I am also glad that I didn't let them see me as I am now. But when I think that there is no one left in this house to stand by me, I feel more and more miserable. But I don't have a home to go back to. I wonder if it would be possible for me to leave this house with Chris at least. While I was thinking about this, he said something even more shocking to me. I've been thinking about what you said. When he started off like this, for a moment I was happy that he was thinking about my body. But the next words threw me into hell. I knew they were right. What do you mean? I think I should get a younger and healthier wife than you. What? I want to have an heir, don't I? But, you know, with you I'm already. How should I say it? You know, I can't do everything with you. I felt as if someone had hit me on the head with a stick or something. I couldn't believe that my own husband would say this to me. I realized that I could no longer expect anything from him. He said a lot of things after that, but nothing was going through my head anymore. The only thing I understood was that he wanted a divorce. You're useless, you're like a piece of trash. You may be paying for a housekeeper, but you don't make much money anyway. So how much money do you have left after paying for a housekeeper? You are just a burden to our family. You're like a parasite that hangs around our house. That's right. Even helpers don't work for free. If you're such a parasite that you have to pay for helpers, get the hell out of my house. After being told this by both Chris and my in-laws, I felt there was no point in staying here any longer. Even if I didn't have a home to go back to, I would just have to find a new place to live. That's what I thought to myself. Then I would move out. I asked Sammy to help me find a new place to live. Sammy was more than willing to help, and now all the paperwork is conveniently done online. After all the formalities were done, I presented Chris with the completed divorce papers. I see. You've finally made up your mind. But don't hate me. Hate yourself for having a body like that. I understand. But are you sure you want to do this? I'll leave. Of course it's okay. I'll find a more suitable woman for me. People say I'll find a better wife. Are you sure you can handle life? Don't worry about that. My father's retirement money is still there, and I heard that he got a lot of money for Daisy's affair. I don't have to worry about money for the time being. So I don't have to depend on you anymore. Oh, yeah. Do what you want then. I left my parents-in-law's house without mentioning it, although I thought he seemed to be blind to reality. And there was a good thing, too. If I lived alone and didn't have family help, a helper would also help me with daily living. They do the cleaning, laundry, shopping, and so on. I was really grateful for that. But I still have Sammy come over as usual. Sammy actually worked for a major company before she got married, and she is very skilled with computers and such. But because it was a big company, there was a lot of overtaking and being overtaken, and she got tired of that, so she quit her job when she got married. That was 20 years ago. Sammy laughed when she said that, but I wondered a little if it was from that kind of career that she was able to take a firm stand against my in-laws. So now she manages my business rather than being my housekeeper. Sammy is happy to do it and is a big help. Besides, the new place I moved to is a wheelchair-accessible house, so I can move around by myself. The kitchen also has enough space for me to cook by myself. Just when I was beginning to think I was finally getting used to my new life, Kelly started calling me again and again. But I had nothing more to say to her. I ignored them and left those calls alone. Partly because Sammy was cooperating, and partly because I was making much more progress and had more work to do than working in the midst of my stepfamily's sarcasm, and I didn't have time to deal with Kelly. A year has passed. I still hear from Kelly, though not as often as before. I decided that my life had settled down and it was time to kick it off, so I picked up the phone and answered. Hello? Finally. Hey you, why haven't you answered the phone all these years? I was worried that something might have happened to you. She suddenly spoke to me in a cat-like voice. I had never even heard her say she was worried about me when we lived together. I guessed that she probably found out the truth and contacted me out of distress. I wondered what kind of life she had been leading for the past year. Thank you for your concern. But please don't worry about me, I'm doing quite well and in good health. Oh, well, that's good to hear. By the way. What is it? Well, do you still want to live with us like before? What? I'm a huge trash and a parasite, and there's nothing good about living with me. I've been thinking about it a lot. I knew I couldn't just leave you here with your physical disability. We will take good care of you from now on, so you don't have to worry anymore. No worries. When you live alone, a helper will help you with your daily life. They do the cleaning, laundry, and shopping for me. And Sammy helps me with my work, so I don't have any problems. Well, about that job, is it true that you were making more money than Chris? Yes, that's true. But I guess he was disappointed when we got divorced. Chris said you had a monthly income of almost $15,000. My income was used to pay for my in-laws' living expenses. I was fortunate that my income had increased, although my own disability, combined with my in-laws' help in the beginning, and Chris's company's poor performance and declining salary. So I offered Chris that. He, at first, said he was sorry and all that. He also said that if I told my in-laws that my salary had dropped, they would be worried, so he asked me not to tell them anything about it. But after almost 3 years of living this way, he seemed to lose awareness of the fact that I was paying his bills. I thought he should have put his own salary aside when we got divorced, but I didn't dare mention it. Besides, I knew that Daisy's divorce was not over her husband's infidelity, but Daisy's own. My brother-in-law had contacted me. I was also told that Daisy had taken my brother-in-law's money without his permission. Daisy had said that she had received the money as alimony. My brother-in-law said that of course he would get the money he took out back exactly as he took it, and that he would also charge her alimony. I decided to get a divorce before my in-laws found out about it. When I confronted Kelly about it, she was absolutely mortified for a while. Chris was also getting into girls' bars worker and even getting into debt. So that's why he said he wanted a divorce. Maybe he was counting on that girl's earnings. You can't count on that. They weren't even dating in the first place. He was just one of her clients. I'm sure he was. Did you, by any chance, know? Yes, I knew all about it. Kelly, why didn't you tell me? Did you by any chance know that Chris's company was in danger? Of course I did. It's awful that you knew that too and didn't tell me. Kelly also told me that Daisy had eloped with the cheating boyfriend, but was eventually dumped and came home in tears with even more debt. Chris' company went bankrupt 6 months ago, and he is now looking for a job, but he can't find one because he says he is not a good fit for it. He has completely lost his confidence and is now a recluse here too. Thanks to those kids living with us, my husband doesn't have any retirement money left. In fact, he's still in debt. Is that so? So, if you come back, everything will be all right. I have no idea what you mean. I really don't know what all is well. Rather, I don't understand the nerve of them to say this to me now after kicking me out like that. I also wondered how much she could change in just 1 year. But it was sooner than I thought. Chris probably had no idea that his company would actually go bankrupt. He was so careless about everything. Kelly tearfully said that she wouldn't have let him divorce me if she had known, but I felt that it was too late for that. And in the end, it's all about the money. All they care about is their own lives. Daisy says she doesn't feel like working right now, so she stays at home, eats and sleeps all the time, and she's getting fat. Oh, that's the thing. We even sold the house to settle the kids' debts. The in-laws' house was very old, and it was not worth much as a building, and the location was very bad, so they had to deduct the cost of clearing the land and so on, so they didn't get much money for it. Now the family of 4 is living in a cheap apartment with only 1 room, and they are forced to live a very hard life. Kelly cried on the other end of the phone, saying that they were also exhausted from working part-time jobs from morning to night every day. The reason this is happening is because you haven't returned my calls for so long. At least if I had gotten in touch with you before we sold the house. What do you say happened? Of course you would have helped us if you knew we were selling the house. You lived in that house too, so you must have some attachment to it, right? Not at all, though. What? I can only wonder how much convenience I had in mind. I was really glad I didn't answer the phone. Well, if I had answered, there was no way I would have gone along with such a conversation. Oh, so Chris and Daisy are both firmly parasitic on you guys. So please, come back. You're the only one I can count on in a situation like this. No, I'm a stranger. I don't need you to depend on me. Don't say that. We're sorry for what we've done. I apologize. That's right. With your money, let's build a barrier-free house for everyone to live in and get along. I don't understand how she could say such a thing at all. I even have a headache already. I decided it was time to give them an ultimatum and call it a day. No, thank you. Oh, but I picked up your phone today because I wanted to let you know something. What news? I'm going to charge all of you alimony. What? Why should we pay alimony? Besides, even Chris didn't cheat on you. He wasn't even with the girl at the girls' bar. It's not alimony for cheating. It's a fee for the emotional distress caused by the verbal abuse we received from you guys. What? When I told her that I had recorded and videotaped all of my stepfamily's outbursts at the time and had all the evidence, Kelly became quite flustered and hurriedly hung up the phone. I wondered if she thought she would still demand something from me if I talked any further. I wondered if this was what it was like to have a scar on your shin. Afterwards, when I made a request for compensation through a lawyer, the lawyer told me that she had tearfully appealed for the current situation and asked that the compensation be somehow waived. Of course, there was no way she would comply. I was asked to illustrate a picture book. I am one step closer to my dream of becoming a picture book author someday. Many things have happened, but I will continue to live my life positively and without taking myself too seriously. What did you think of this story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.